Hello and welcome back to the next video in our 3D printing series. So in the last video I got Cura open and I brought my parts in here and they're ready to print, and in this video I'm just going to go through a couple of quick controls and considerations for setting up your prints. First, you'll notice I'm moving the view around. That's with the mouse. I'm holding down the right button and dragging the mouse around, and that lets me look at my print from all different angles. You can also roll the mouse wheel to zoom in or zoom out on my part. Okay. If I click on a part, you see I have these three arrows here, and I can click and drag things around. And if I actually click directly on this arrow, then I can move it in only one direction at a time, right? Whereas if I just sort of click on the part, I can kind of free move it. And then over here on the left, I have some other options. So this next one is scale. I can make my parts bigger or smaller if I get them in here and I'm like, oh, whoa, that's way smaller than I thought it would be. I can change their scale. All right, I'm going to leave those alone. Rotate is a part, excuse me, a command or a tool that we will use a lot. So we wanted to talk about orientation for my part, right? We learned in an earlier video that we want our prints to be on a flat surface. So if I do that, you can see now I have like that small surface there that has all these little points, and then I have this overhanging part right here, so I'm going to end up needing to put some support material in there. And then you can see it lights up in red where it's telling me, oh hey, you're probably going to need some support material inside of here as well, right? I could continue to rotate this and print it this way, right? And then I might need a little bit of support for my threads and maybe for this part of my lid up here. Definitely for the inside, right? It's going to be trying to bridge all the way across in midair. And so for this particular part, I think the best option is to just rotate it around and keep that big flat space like that. And then I can print that, right, building it up from the bottom, and then this is all open. All right, so that'll be just fine. So you want to make sure you're thinking about how you're going to orient parts for your 3D prints in order to reduce the need for support. All right, those are the main controls that I want to show you over there. There's a couple of view controls down here, so I can get my home view back. Right, I can look at a front view, I could look at a top view, I can look at a side view, or I can look at the other side view. Is it a right view and a left view? Yeah, right view and a left view. And I'm going to leave it on the isometric view right here. And then we'll go look at the settings for our print as well. All right, so we are going to open this up and see we have profiles and layer heights is what each one of these things are, right? So higher numbers mean thicker layers and faster print times, but maybe a little less quality in the fine details. So if you have a print with a lot of really fine details, you might want to go for a thinner layer to get the details to come out a little nicer. Just know that's going to take a lot longer, all right? Infill is how dense we want the inside of our part to be, all right? So let me see if I have another good part just on this computer that would be a good thing for showing you infill. I don't know that I do. Oh, here we go. We could look at my yo-yo. Put my yo-yo there. All right. And so I'm going to leave my infill at 10%, and I'm going to go over here to, I have to hit slice first before it'll let me do a preview. So I'm going to let it slice for a second. Okay, so I paused it so you guys didn't have to watch the slicing, and we'll talk about that in more detail in just one second. I just want to show you the preview option down here. And so I have a total of 247 layers, and so let's bring these guys down, 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 down until we can see inside. Zoom in on. my yo-yo part. You guys are going to be making yo-yos a little later. And we learned in a previous class that 10% infill is too light for the yo-yo. And you can see inside here, right? It's not solid. It just fills in with these triangle patterns. And then as the machine builds up the layers, right, it'll close in. So layer 58, it'll go. Let's see what happens if I hit play here. Kind of watch it build that layer. All right, it's going to build all that around. All right, and maybe at layer 59, go up one more. All right, jump to 61. Didn't mean to do that, but you get the idea. That is not a solid part inside. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to prepare and zoom back out a little bit and click on my yo-yo and delete that because I don't actually want it right now. We had 247 layers, right? I'm going to write that down because we're going to do a little comparison here in a second. 247 layers. All right. Next thing I'm going to do is look at my infill. I'm going to keep that on 10%. That's going to work for most of our projects. All right. Sometimes you might go as high as 60%, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Adhesion just puts extra material down to help things stick to the build plate. Most of the time we don't need it, but if you're having trouble with your prints and they're not sticking to the printer the way you want them to, you can try turning this on when you slice and get them to stick better. Most of our prints stick very, very well on these glass Ultimaker beds. So really all this is going to do is waste material and add time. So leave it turned off. All right, so I'm going to go down here and press slice again. And I'm going to let the recording run while it slices so you can see how long it takes to slice. See, a few minutes required. Watching the little timer on my recorder here, and yeah, we've been waiting for almost a minute, so really not too bad. Okay, when it is done slicing, you are going to get some information here, and you're going to need this information to complete your pre-print worksheet, which we will talk about in another video. But this is telling me it's estimated at 8 hours 17 minutes to print. It's going to use 65 grams of material, which is about 8 meters off of the spool. All right, our spool of filament is typically we get them in 1 kilogram or 1,000 grams at a time. All right, so once this guy is this is done, I'm going to start writing down some of that information, and yeah, we're going to save that for the next video. I'll tell you how to do that, and then final steps to send this thing to the printer and get it printing.